Hey everybody, this is Dylan Luss with the National Weather Service here in Peachtree City, Georgia, and this is your weekly weather briefing for Thursday, December 21st, 2023. So to start us out, just a couple of highlights looking forward, just in case you don't have time to watch the full presentation. We do have a fire danger statement in effect today. That's going to run through 7 p.m. That's for low relative humidities and dry fuels, especially up there in northern Georgia where we still have some drought conditions ongoing. It is looking like it's going to be a wet Christmas, unfortunately. Our rain chances are going to increase late Christmas Eve into Christmas Day, and then are really going to continue beyond that into basically Christmas night and then the next day. We could see a few rumbles of thunder with this, especially down in central Georgia. We are not anticipating any kind of severe weather at this time. Going beyond that, the uncertainty in terms of our forecast is pretty high as we go basically into the middle of next week and then late next week. But we do have a signal for some cooler air that could start to make our way, could start to make its way into the area by the end of next week. However, once again, there's a lot of uncertainty right now. Our models are kind of all over the place. Looking at our current conditions, we do have a large high pressure that's in place across the southeast and really truly kind of the eastern 2/3 of the country. This is going to dominate our weather pattern for the next couple of days and is going to basically help keep any rainfall out and keep us pretty dry for the most part while we kind of slowly warm over the next couple of days. The other feature that I'll bring your attention to is that there's a big low off the coast of California. You can kind of see it on the map, but it's been cut off a little bit. That system's currently bringing some very heavy rainfall out there and actually some tornado warnings and things like that to California, which is kind of unusual. That system is going to be our next big weather maker as it moves into the center part of the country and then eventually over us. And unfortunately, it's what's going to lead to our rain on Christmas Day. Looking at the satellite here over the southeast from this morning, you can see the sunrise that kind of comes in on the picture here. We do have basically just nothing but a bunch of high cirrus, very high clouds that are streaming over the area. Those will kind of continue throughout the day to day, may be thick enough that we can perhaps make those drives home a little bit easier as they kind of blot out the sun. But otherwise, no real impacts from these clouds whatsoever. We're not expecting any rainfall, anything like that. One little fun little factoid with this, today is the shortest day of the year. It is the winter solstice, so our day length is going to be 9 hours, 54 minutes, and 32 seconds. And tomorrow will be 1 second longer than it was today. So, as mentioned in the intro there, we do have a fire danger statement in effect for today. You can see the counties that are outlined here in that kind of peach color. That's going to run through 7 p.m. As stated before, this is mainly for low relative humidities and dry fuels, so we don't have a lot of moisture in the air. And as we're all well aware, it's been pretty dry, especially up in northern Georgia, where we still have the ongoing drought conditions. So if you are planning on doing any burning, please check with your local authorities. We do still have several counties that have burn bans in place, and definitely check in with them. Make sure that you're not going to step afoul of any laws or anything like that. So speaking of it being dry, here's the latest drought monitor that was released today. Drought is continuing basically across northern Georgia despite that rainfall that we did get last week. That rain that we did get, especially up in northern Georgia, was very, very light. Most places only saw a hundredth to a couple of hundredths of an inch of rain. Some places only saw like a trace of rainfall, which is really nothing. It is something. Something is better than nothing, but it's definitely not enough such that it was going to do any kind of give us any kind of relief to this drought at the end of the day. Conversely, down in central Georgia, we are seeing conditions that are starting to improve, especially in central eastern Georgia. We got some very heavy rainfall with the system that moved through last week, several inches of rain, which was definitely a big help to some drought conditions that were starting to develop. So the hope is going forward that with the forecast rainfall that we do have coming in on Christmas Day, that will be enough to hopefully start to kind of put a dent into some of those drought conditions across North Georgia. Though, to be very honest, we're going to need probably several weeks of repeated rainfall if we're going to actually kind of put a dent in this. Here's our forecast going forward. So we'll start with tomorrow. Our high pressure system that's over our area is basically going to continue to kind of sit over the eastern portions of the nation, and we're going to have this weather system that's going to enter into the Great Plains. This is not our big weather maker. This is kind of a precursor to that, and it's not really going to have any effect on us. It's mostly going to be a weather maker for the plains. As we move into Saturday, you can see that weather system in the plains kind of fizzles out. We continue to get high pressure that dominates our weather here down in Georgia. But what you can see out in the west is a whole lot of colors. That's a whole lot of snow and ice and other things and rain that are starting to develop out there as that weather, or as that low pressure moves off the coast of California, moves into the Four Corners region and gets ready to head our way. Going into Sunday, that system moves out into the Great Plains, where it becomes a pretty big weather system that kind of blows up over that area. And then going forward to Monday, we see that this system has slowly kind of slid to the east, and we get plenty of rainfall that starts to move over north and central Georgia. That rainfall is really going to start to move in like late Sunday night, potentially as early as like Sunday evening, depending on where you are in the state, especially down in like the Columbus area and stuff like that. That's when our rain chances are going to pick up. The unfortunate reality of this is expect that we're probably going to have a relatively wet Christmas as a result of all of this rain that's going to be moving in on Christmas Day. So here's what our basically precip chances look like Sunday night, Monday morning, afternoon, and Monday night. So Sunday night, that rainfall starts to slide in. We'll see some general showers and things that start to form over the area, and your rain chances will really ramp up basically the further that you get into the night. As we go into Monday, so Monday morning and afternoon, you can see this is where we have pretty much our highest rain chances across the state. We're expecting this is mostly going to be a pretty steady rain that's probably going to be impacting the area most of the day on Monday. And as we go into Monday night, those rain chances continue. It still should be a pretty steady, potentially on and off at times rain that's going to be falling, mostly light to moderate rainfall overall. Going beyond that, we move into Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, especially during the morning, we could still see some of this rainfall sticking around. There's a little bit of uncertainty as to how quickly this weather system is going to actually move out of our area. And you can kind of see that reflected in the forecast on Wednesday over here on the right side of the graphic, where you can see we still have like some light lingering like showers and things like that, especially up there towards the mountains. So this is a slow moving weather system, and it's going to take a little while for things to clear out. Here's general precipitation accumulations that we're expecting from this weather system itself. Generally speaking, should be a widespread 1 to 2 inches of rain, with the highest amounts occurring in the mountains, and then local isolated higher amounts that will be possible. But generally in the mountains, and I should say also in the Piedmont of northeastern Georgia, at least for now, that's where we're forecasting the highest amounts of rain, where you could see closer to that 2-inch total. This obviously for northern Georgia is welcome at the end of the day, even if it's gonna potentially rain out our Christmas and things like that, because they are in a drought up there and they absolutely could use this rainfall. All right, our temperatures over the week, generally speaking, we're going to be on average warmer than we would normally be this time of year. We'll see just a gradual warm up that's going to happen kind of starting today on Thursday, and then as we go through the weekend until we get the rainfall that moves in Sunday night into Monday. And you can see this morning we were pretty cold. I believe we got down to like 25 in Macon. We had some pretty widespread upper 20s across the area, mid to upper 20s I should say, and got lots of reports of frost and things like that. Hopefully tonight will be the last day for at least a couple of days that we'll see temperatures quite that cold. And even tonight, we're not expecting to get down into the 20s. It should get down in some areas into, say, the upper 30s to mid 30s. And then tomorrow, we're going to see a general warm up. And from there, we go upper 40, or I should say upper 30s to lower 40s for lows and things like that. So generally speaking, we should see a general warming trend over this week. And then as we go into next week, that's when we could potentially see a little bit of a cooling trend that happens where we move towards a colder than average temperature regime. However, I kind of want to emphasize, you see on the left graphic here, this is from the Climate Prediction Center. These kind of lighter blues that you see, the darker the blue doesn't necessarily mean on these graphics that you're getting colder or anything like that. It just means there's a better chance of being colder than average. So when you're in these like very, very light blue colors, that means we think, or at least we're leaning towards it being colder than average, but there's still a lot of uncertainty around that. Same thing goes here for the precipitation outlook. You can see that a lot of the state were in that very light brown color, which would say we would be drier than average. We think we'll be drier than average. We're leaning that way, but there's a lot of uncertainty in the models right now. So we'll see as we go forward. So once again, just to kind of wrap everything up, we do have a fire danger statement in effect today. That's through 7 p.m. for those low relative humidities and dry fuels. It is looking like we're going to have a wet Christmas. That being said, we're not expecting any kind of severe weather or anything like that. Just a few rumbles of thunder that'll be possible, especially down in central Georgia. And then beyond that, we've got pretty high uncertainty in terms of what things are going to look like, though we're seeing some signal for it to be cooler and maybe a little bit drier as we go into the new year. As always, here's our contact information. There's lots of different ways that you can reach us. We try to monitor all of these things, so please do not hesitate to reach out and contact us if you have any questions whatsoever. And with that, we'll wrap things up. So thanks so much for listening. We appreciate you.